Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaeli Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Listen, it is my mission to empower you to reach your full potential, to cultivate an extraordinary business that will withstand the test of time. And while 2020 has been a turbulent, disruptive year, I could not be more optimistic about the last stretch of 2020 because we're getting ready to kick off our new class of the Pop Aesthetic Leadership Academy. Perhaps you feel the level of growth you desire feels unattainable in this new era, or you're not sure the steps that you should take to get you there. Well, this Leadership Academy is our signature program, and it's a powerful leadership development incubator for practice owners and practice managers in the aesthetic industry, just like you. It's been developed based on tactical and practical wisdom I've learned over the last decade of mentoring, advising, and consulting with some of the continent's top aesthetic practices. And I mean physicians who have board certifications in multiple specialties, authors, podium speakers, many businesses already running multiple million-dollar enterprises. These are powerful leaders in our industry. And we are the only program on the market that focuses on teaching your team the systems, strategies, and skills to consistently produce six figures in monthly revenue for you while you focus on your craft. This is a group program where you will be part of a cohort of like-minded people who share your unique passion and ambition. Listen, if you're tired of wasting your time with courses, consultants, or relying on companies to help you grow your business that just do not get the big picture, this just might be the right fit for you. Our graduates are board certified MDs, practice managers, administrators, practice owners, and leaders. And while they may have different job titles, they share a nuanced set of powerful leadership skills that have allowed them to elevate to the top 2% of aesthetic businesses. And for the month of December, we will be accepting applications for our January 2021 class. If you are ready to make your final transformation and take your business to its next level of success, you can head over to our website and apply at www.klcconsultants.com/PLA-info. Hello, Fierce Factor. Welcome, friends. I have a really interesting episode. I'm actually recording it and I haven't named it yet because I'm not totally sure what's going to come out of my mouth. But I wanted to pull together really a few kind of ideas or thoughts that I had as we have been wrapping up our boot camp and opening up a registration for our Pop Aesthetic Leadership Academy. And we've been having interviews with practices and business owners who are really feeling like they are at a point in time where they absolutely want help. They know that they have big goals. They know that they want to build great businesses, and they're feeling the squeeze from the pandemic and what this year has brought. And, not only the actual financial struggle or pressure that they've had, but the emotional struggle and the impact that they've felt by the ebb and flow, mostly ebb, of dealing with this whole COVID situation. And so I just have so much empathy for these business owners. And it's interesting because I'm starting to see some themes as I'm talking with people, and I'm having conversations with my team about the idea that there are business owners or businesses who see opportunity and want help, but that a lot of what they need has much less to do with the strategy or with the implementation of these tactics and things like that. It has more to do with them really unraveling habits that they have developed over time that have gotten them into these loops in their business. And I just really think that we tend to underestimate the power that our mind has on our business strategy. And by that, I mean just how our emotional state impacts it, the psychology around business, around the decisions that we make, around how we interact with our team and our vendors and our colleagues and partners and just the people that make our business, not even to mention our customers. But I spoke this week with a med spa owner, and really there were a few questions that were coming up that a few different practices had brought up to me who were looking to come into our academy and emailed me a list of questions to be answered. I really was seeing kind of a theme, and I wanted to address this with you guys today and kind of break down some of the objections or resistance that I'm seeing that seems to be a common question that we're getting related to the academy. So first, I kind of wanted to start off with a story because I had a major aha moment this week. And I feel like I might offend some people by saying this, but I feel gratitude a lot. And I have a journal and I write my list and everything. But honestly, it's work. And I don't walk around thinking, gosh, I'm so blessed and feel so much gratitude. And when I see people constantly post on Instagram about how just grateful they are, sometimes I'm like, oh, come on. Don't you have bad days? Like I have bad days. And so I wanted to share the story. One, because my life coach told me I needed to. I'm paying it forward. So anybody else who has bad days, here you go. But it really was an aha moment for me and just a big realization about perspective. It ties together, I believe, what I want to share with you in terms of these kind of objections that these business owners are having, because I do think that we all fall into this trap of creating these stories in our minds or these difficult situations that we're almost making up in our head because we are stressed about the future or we're uncertain and, yada, yada. Basically, I was downstairs in the kitchen with my boys. And so I'm doing these cold plunges in the morning. And I went and did my 2 minutes in the 30-degree, we'll call it 30 degrees, 30-degree pool, got out, got my coffee on normal routine, was defrosting, layered all my warm stuff up because I'm like a frozen ice cube for a good 20 minutes or so, thawing out. And I was probably playing a podcast in the background. That's kind of what I tend to do, cooking breakfast, making the kids eggs and bacon. And they were sitting there doing their homework. And I was rattling in my head a checklist of things that I had to do for the day, just hour by hour, this call, this follow-up, this admin, this task. I'm just going on and on thinking like there is no break in my whole day. I've jam-packed my schedule and I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm letting myself sit there in this like, wah, wah, poor me state because I'm just feeling there's no break for me. And some days I'll think about, okay, well, I'll finish at this time and then there'll be time to unwind. And it was one of those where it was like, and then the kids have baseball and this and that, and I just couldn't really get myself out of it. And so I'm sitting there with the boys and then I kind of snapped at one of them and at Cooper and he said, what's going on or something? And I said, well, I'm stressed. And he looked at me and he kind of gave me a look like you're stressed, like you look like you're totally happy as can be. We connected and had this like tacit kind of communication. And I looked down and here I am frying up bacon and, I've got the Christmas tree and the lights and I'm wrapped in my like cozy Barefoot Dreams or whatever the brand is. I don't even know, fancy robe and my Ugg slippers. I just started cracking up laughing and I was like, this is not a stressful situation. This is not a stressed human being. Like, this is not stressed. Like, some people are not getting food. And I'm sitting here thinking about how busy my day is and how stressed I am. And I just started busting up laughing. And the boys started laughing. And we joked like the meme of like stressed out mom sitting there with like, the cucumbers on her eyes. And here I was just frying up bacon, So anyway, I tell the story because at first, I want anybody, I'm sure one of you, somebody can relate to this where you're just like, yeah, I'm not living like where I'm stressed, like I'm going to die or something, but I just feel really overwhelmed and I feel things just feel like I'm floating, or I can't get above water. By floating, I mean drowning. Or like for me, I was describing it as just the walls were caving in. Like I felt like my space was getting smaller and I just didn't have space. And so I just was really empathizing and thinking about as I was going through that. And I kind of had that perspective shift and it made me really think about what we define as stress and how we even define our relationship with our business or the things that we do within our business on a daily basis. And so for my business owners out there, and I wanted to just share messages and objections that I've been getting from these business owners who are like having their own bacon moment where they're like, I really need to work with you. We need help, but here's some things that are kind of holding us back. And so one message I got was asking basically like, can I have access to a specific training like around building compensation plans as soon as possible? I have an urgent need to hire someone. And I'd also like to speak with a client of yours to hear about their experience in your academy. And I've been basically attacked by this boomerang of marketing and consulting, web team, staff, etc. And also, is it possible to only commit for 3 or 6 months versus a year? And so this kind of all came from really a variety of different business owners or leaders who were asking similar questions. And so I kind of pulled out this one example because I wanted to break it down for you and kind of take us back to that bacon moment and unravel why somebody would be asking those questions and feeling like, I know I need help, but I'm not sure, I'm uncertain, and I can't really get to that next point. And so obviously these are totally reasonable questions. And perhaps maybe you felt some of these concerns or had similar questions when you're looking to work with someone new and you're scared to take a risk or you're worried that it might not work out. But when we really break down these statements, I can read a message between the lines that I want to translate for you. And hopefully this will give you some framework to use as a tool to help guide you to make more empowered decisions in the future, be it an investment or even bringing on a new hire or a partnership, just in general, making decisions and feeling confident about those decisions you're making. So one of the statements was, I have an urgent need to hire someone. And so first of all, operating out of a sense of urgency is just always a dangerous decision. If you feel rushed to do something in your business, it's likely because you rushed the last thing that ultimately created a gap for you in your business. So in this particular case, this individual had hired the wrong people or didn't really build the business plan correctly in the first place, and now is feeling rushed to hire an employee. And y'all know my shtick on that. What happens when we rush to hire? We hire for tactics versus for strategic talent acquisition. So you just cannot find top talent in a rush. You have to really look at how you approach the hiring process by taking your time to filter through mediocrity. That is the low-hanging fruit. And you cultivate your talent by hiring for passion. And this is something that can't be rushed. I just got a note today from a client looking for somebody for him to do basically like some marketing and business development for his business. And he was resistant to this idea of putting a job description out or an ad for the position that included a cover letter and a video. And I find it so interesting because, this is something I 100% recommend to my clients, and not all of them do that. I think they feel like maybe the video's overboard. But for me, I feel like maybe it's just knowing me as an employer. I know that I want somebody who's willing to take risks, willing to step out of their comfort zone, pays attention to detail, someone who could read that job offer or that job ad, basically, and write a cover letter and see that they need to make a video, go through the effort of making the video, figuring out how to do that and send it to me. I just think those are things that basically are like easy steps for me to identify whether that's going to be somebody who can do the basic things that are going to be requirements of the job, basically, for me. So he agreed and he put it out this morning, and then he messaged me and said, I just posted for the job, and in 1 hour I got 13 applications and not one of them had a video attached. So we had a chuckle together like, well, obviously they're not going to be the right fit, And I think sometimes we talk ourselves into hiring people like, well, we're making excuses for them. And again, that's because of us. That's because of the position that we're in and the need that we have to hire and that sense of urgency that we've created. And so when somebody is messaging me saying, I need to hire somebody ASAP, this is urgent, I have this gap, that really shows me not much about what their strategy is. It shows to me that there's a gap that in the way that they hire and the process that they have, that's causing them to feel that sense of urgency. So that's even more of a reason why they need guidance and support to get out of that loop. And then the next statement, I'd like to speak with a client of yours to hear about their experience in your academy. And so there's no question that references are valuable. I 100% have asked for references in the past when I've hired people to do work around my house and things like that. But before you ask for a reference, are you clear what you were asking for? Are you wondering what kind of results someone experienced in their business? Are you asking about the character or the values of the company that you're looking to work with? Or are you trying to learn best practices about what kind of commitment it took to leverage their investment as a tool to help them grow? Remember, here's the thing with references. I remember this when I was selling capital and I had like my list of a few references that I knew they would just totally rave about me no matter what. So that was always the last step of the process in the sale where someone would say, okay, well, send me a reference. And you'd be like, okay, what specialty, what size, shape, where, and then you send the reference over. And it was like, yeah, that worked for me. But I always thought in my head, how do they know what I'm like? And if that's the right fit for them? And more importantly, how do they know that the way that other person's business, the reference that they're calling, utilize that technology or utilize that service or offer, whatever, is going to be the same for them? Because references are simply another person's opinion. And every business has a unique mission, a unique personality, unique clients, and a unique leader. Success is truly personal. And so someone else's success really doesn't have anything to do with your success. So my concern about wanting to talk to references, and of course, I have a list of 20, and you can call any client of ours, so that is not a concern of mine. But the strategies that they have employed could, in fact, even be counterproductive for your business rather than productive, depending on where they are in the life cycle of their business. I really think that it would be much more powerful if you're looking to invest in a service, anything, right? To do your own analysis and make a pro and con list, or to journal, truly do work to understand what your own needs are, and then decide if the investment you're looking to make is aligned with those needs. So make sure you're clear of your objective before spending time, and obviously other people's resources and time on these calls, because other people could have entirely different goals than yours. So that's my only concern or only suggestion about that, just to make sure when you're calling for a reference that they're in the same place in their business and looking to achieve the same set of goals. And then I think it's wonderful. I think that's great. But the other piece to that, and I think where potentially this business owner maybe had called references in the past and had made buying decisions or purchasing decisions based on what these references had said, and maybe that did or didn't work out for them. And so that's just something else to keep in mind as a piece of that. And then the next statement was, I have been attacked by the boomerang of marketing, consulting, web team, staff, etc. And so this is something I use that this is my language, the boomerang impact. And that's basically where we're investing time and resources into something to get us further along in our business. And in fact, it ends up being like a boomerang that just snaps us right back in place. And so we end up wasting time and money and our resources by not getting ahead. It's like one step forward, two steps back. And I just have so much empathy for this situation. I mean, we've all been in a place where we feel like we've been burned by companies or people who have overcommitted and then under-delivered. Quite honestly, unfortunately, that's the majority of companies out there. I was disappointed just getting my nails done recently. I mean, it seems like you can't mess that up. But let's really think about this. As a leader, every decision we make in our business is our own decision. Every hire we make, every contract we sign, every strategy we implement, every training we invest in, we are in control. No one is attacking us. Nobody is telling us what to do. And so we feel victimized because we feel let down, feel like we really trusted someone and they didn't follow through on their part of their commitment. So it's a normal feeling to have. But as leaders, we must take accountability for ourselves and think about the last investment I made. Why didn't that work? Was it the company? Maybe I should have been more diligent about working with someone based on their character. Was it the strategy? Maybe I should try a different approach this time. Was it the communication or the boundaries? Maybe I need to set a different standard or certain expectations up front. So I always say, when things around me are failing, I want to look at the common denominator, which is me. Most likely, I'm going to need to change my approach to achieve a different result. So if you feel like you're in this loop where you're hiring people and they're not the right fit, maybe it's because you've been rushing, or if you feel like you're hiring marketing companies that aren't producing results, maybe it's because it wasn't the right strategy or wasn't the marketing that you actually needed. So usually there's something hidden, there's just a lot to unpack. There's layers deep. And so if you're feeling like that, it may be time to take a step back and really evaluate the plan, the blueprint, the foundation, and build things in the right order. I've used the analogy in the past about hanging a chandelier before you have the foundation built or the walls built on your home. You can't do that. You can't just jump in and do the sexy stuff and do the marketing and do the initiatives that are going to build your brand exposure when you don't have the foundations of your brand built, those foundational principles. And then finally, this last statement, and this we get asked a lot, is it possible to only commit to 3 months or 6 months versus a year? Our academy is a year-long commitment. So once I hear this, then all of these statements kind of start to align together with a beautiful little bow wrapped around it. And this is kind of where, as I'm reading between the lines on all of this, I'm seeing this translation that I'm scared to make a commitment because I failed with the last commitments I made. I'm worried about the future and my ability to leverage your academy to make a lasting transformation. So if I don't make a real commitment, if I make a partial commitment to my success, I will tell myself the story that I have an out and the pain of my failure won't be as damaging to my bank account. So this is interesting. So in the third question, we just learned so much about this business owner. There's a rush to hire, which is a result of the gaps that he has in his foundation, his plan, his strategy, and his systems. But then you're going to hire someone to plug that hole, which will contribute to the boomerang attack that you've been experiencing, right? So kind of we're back in there. We are rushing. We have gaps in the foundation. The people we're hiring aren't working out. We need to rush and hire because we're feeling the pain of being stretched too thin, of not having that resource in our business. So we got to hurry up and hire. Again, probably hurried up and hired the last wrong person. So we're kind of, here we are contributing to that boomerang again. So you'll hire quickly, likely bring someone on with their own gaps who's not an entrepreneur in their role. And therefore you will make up for his or her inefficiencies with additional people, marketing programs, consultants, or if you're like most business owners, your own time, which you don't have enough or more of, right? And then on top of that, you may end up even paying that person a higher salary because you feel desperate and you want to hire them right away. And you just feel this need to eliminate the overwhelm you're experiencing. Does this sound familiar to anyone? So here you're paying more for a subpar employee. You fill gaps with things that you didn't need in the first place. So basically inappropriately spending on things that are non-essential, lowering your profit margins, and compromising your cash flow. You start marketing as the low price leader to increase patient volume, right? Discount, promotion, holiday discount. Let's just give it for free, right? We just need to get people in the door. And so you start to market to get more people to support the high cost of the employee that you feel desperate to keep. So you start getting busier, but you're making less money because your profit margins are lower because of your price differential. And here you are back in your boomerang again. So this business owner is truly coming to me and seeking me out in our company in a desperate cry for help, but not seeing the actual problem. It's his inability to slow down and shore up the foundations, the blueprint to create a healthy, sustainable business. But that starts with you as the owner. That starts with him. That starts with trusting himself to make intuitive, empowered decisions that aren't out of desperation or haste. They're out of strategic planning, confidence, and preeminent leadership. Okay? The work that he needs to do on his business is right between his ears. The answers are all there. You guys, we all have the answers in us, right? Maybe you just need a guide. You need somebody to help you see that. You just need to be redirected to believe in the power that you have right inside of you. So when we think about the future and we use the unknown as an excuse to not invest in ourselves, we're simply subscribing to our comfort zone and opting not to grow. It's not a wise decision. It's just a safe one. If you want to have an amazing business, you have to take risks. And why we only think of risk in the form of writing a check, I'm not totally sure. Usually the biggest risk is just betting on ourselves and then doing whatever it takes, even when it's uncomfortable, to do the right thing. Not just the rushed, obvious, or instantly gratifying answer. I'll go on a limb and say this. I think anybody can write a check, but it really takes a true leader to be willing to face the fear, to sit in discomfort of patience while they build something worthwhile. And remember, we have no guarantee. We don't know if tomorrow will come. And so this pandemic, it truly doesn't scare me, and it shouldn't you. We will get through this, but we have to make a choice. And next time you think you have a problem, or you're feeling kind of that pain or that struggle or that stress, take 5 minutes to read between the lines of your own story. You're feeling the symptom, but you'll never eliminate that symptom without attacking the root of the problem. And here's a hint. It's probably in your head. Remember me cooking my bacon? Your problem is right there in your head, ladies and gents, right there for you. So I feel for you. If you are in that boomerang, you are not alone. I can tell you that I know your frustration and I'm here for you. And I would love the opportunity to be your guide and your partner and to be your advisor and to help you navigate through this turbulent time and beyond and build a business that is sustainable and that is boomerang free, right? We're always going to eventually hire the right person, but maybe I can help you do it the first time instead of the 5th time. That's worth something. So, all right, folks, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you tuning in, and I will chat with you next week. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Fierce Factor. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you subscribe so you can automatically get new shows every week. I'd also love it if you left us a review. And come join the conversation online. If you're an aesthetic industry owner, operator, or leader, please join my free Facebook group, The Tribe of Fierce Aesthetic Leaders, a community of ambitious, purpose-driven professionals who collaborate and share best practices for growth in business and life. I'm honored you tuned in.